Is PM CARES fund actually a public trust? Is it accountable? Can public know where their donations are going? Or is it just another version of electoral bonds which was scrapped by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional? Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to discuss in detail, understand that when we are talking about PM CARES fund, it should be about that how this particular fund is bringing relief, it is bringing changes for what it is made, but unfortunately it is in news because RTI activists want to know why there have been no auditing done, why the papers have never been public since last 3 financial years. Public is making donation into the fund, but we don't know where that money is going. We just know the opening balance and closing balance. And that is not the end of worry. There is more to it, which creates bigger questions about transparency and also accountability. So when we are looking at today's situation, what we are seeing in front of us is the fact that as of now, there has been for last 3 financial years, no publishing of audited financial statements of PM CARES fund. This is an added problem. Why? There are already fundamental problems directing towards the opaqueness, non-accountability of this fund. What are those things? First, it falls out of the ambit of Right to Information Act. Parliament cannot scrutinize it, and CAG, which is responsible for auditing, cannot audit it. That means there is a huge account lying in which a lot of money is being deposited. Public doesn't know from last 3 financial years where that money is going, and there is no way for the public, for the MPs, for the MLAs, anybody at all to know what is happening with that money. And that is why we are labeling and trying to understand if this is some other version of electoral bonds. That is why PM CARES fund is also being looked at as something, as a sequel of electoral bonds, thus the term electoral bonds 2.0. Because what we are talking about here is not corruption. It is the fact that a fund which is associated, promoted by Prime Minister, where the cabinet ministers are the trustees, that shouldn't come with such non-accountability, such opaqueness. It should be with openness, transparency and accountability. And that is why the questions are rising. Now, when we are looking at this fund, let us try to understand all of this from scratch. We are looking at PM CARES fund, which was brought during COVID 2020. Basically, it is Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situation Funds. Now, when we are looking at it, we have seen that this has been labeled as a public charitable trust, but the other problems that we were just talking about makes it seem like that it is not a public charitable trust, rather it operates and functions more like a private one. And that is why these questions, because the chairperson here is Prime Minister, the trustees here are Defence Minister, Home Minister, Finance Minister, and in this context it also receives multiple donations, be it voluntary, CSR contribution. That means multiple companies, through their corporate social responsibility are making contribution to it, and there are foreign donations. And people are being incentivized to do so. That means if you take part in this, these donations are eligible for 100% tax deduction. If you are making a foreign contribution, you don't have to go through the hassle of registration. You are exempted from FCRA registration, which as per the new law is absolutely complex in terms of purpose, definition and what happens. So government not only incentivizes you to put your money here, it also eases it, simplifies it. But then why government is not ready to tell where this money is going? In short, public is demanding transparency. And that is why it is being constantly seen as equivalent to electoral bond. So let us do a very quick recap and understand what were electoral bonds. Electoral bonds were a very simple mechanism to facilitate donation to political parties, and these donations could be done through bonds which could be purchased through proper banking channels. Now the problem with these bonds was the fact that who is donating? that cannot be understood. Most importantly, it could be traced for the political parties, but citizens had no way of understanding who is giving what to the political parties. And this led to possibility of quid pro quo between donors. That means there can be a proper settlement, proper dealing between donors and governments, because there is no way for people to find out who is donating, to whom they are donating. Only these political parties and donors can understand. That means public will never get to know the information that which donor is contributing to which political party. Only government agencies can know. Citizens could not. And add to this, it created problem of biasness. It created problem of non-transparency. And if these words are sounding similar, you will be able to understand that why we have been drawing parallels between electoral bonds and PM CARES fund. And this is exactly what our apex court also felt about electoral bonds, and that is why they were declared unconstitutional and they were scrapped. The constitutional bench, they were the one to struck down the electoral bond scheme in 2024. They clearly told that it violated Article 19(1)(a), right to information of votes. They were undermining this basic spirit of free and fair elections, which is one of the most important principles for a democracy. It failed the proportionality test, and that is why State Bank of India, which was responsible for managing the electoral bond scheme, they were asked to disclose all the donor details. Now, this is exactly what makes PM CARES comparable to electoral bonds. PM CARES has anonymous donors. Here, the donor details cannot be disclosed. Electoral bonds has limited transparency. This is outside the ambit of RTI. And when we are looking at electoral bonds, they have accountability concerns. They had accountability concerns, and PM CARES does not have any CAG audit. So all in all, the parallels are pretty much same in terms of the concerns that are coming out. And that is why RTI activists are clearly worried. They are worried about that even though this fund is being portrayed with a public character, there is no accountability. It has been shown that this is something that is private. Why it has been kept out of ambit of RBI, why it is not scrutinized by Parliament, why CAG cannot audit it. This shows that accountability seems like that is as if it is somebody's own private fund. And why are we constantly saying public character? Not just because of the word PM. We are saying it because it uses the government.in domain. It uses the state emblem and more. After this, if there is no accountability, it is in a questionable place. Then when we are talking about lack of transparency, it is not just about the fact that Parliament cannot scrutinize it. It is outside the ambit of RTI. Citizens cannot know who has donated, how they have donated, for what they have donated, where it is being used, what is the criteria for the expenditure, if the audit reports are not being made public. And there is no institutional oversight at all. Brings in RTI, Parliament, CAG in the picture. And that is where we also understand when we don't know anything about it, there is possibility of conflict of interest, there is possibility of misuse, there is possibility of corruption, which should not be associated with a public character fund. So the answer is pretty much clear. Bring accountability, bring transparency, and these possibilities might dial down on their own. But you might be thinking right here that if it has been in light for so many years, 2020 it came into picture, 2026 we are standing here, why nobody has talked about it? There have been talks, there have been conversations, and there has been a verdict by Supreme Court as well. Multiple petitions were filed. They were asking to transfer PM CARES fund to NDRF. Petitioners were asking for a CAG audit and they were asking for greater transparency. But Supreme Court in the Center for Public Interest Litigation versus Union of India, in 2020 itself, they said that PM CARES is a voluntary charitable trust. That is why donation do not need to be transferred as petitioners are asking. And Supreme Court also clarified that citizens are free to contribute to either fund. If they want to give it to NDRF, they can do it there. If they want to give it to PM CARES fund, they can do that. And court also did not declare PM CARES as a public authority. That means this is where it could have been brought in the ambit of RTI, but it still isn't. And that is why in coming times we are expecting that there are proper annual audited statements which are published promptly. There is voluntarily disclosure of major donations and what expenditure is being done. There is some oversight mechanism, better transparency while ensuring the operational flexibility of this very fund, because there have been multiple newses where things which were commissioned by this fund, they are not operating. For example, the oxygen cylinders in West Bengal and multiple such other examples. So on this note, where our PM can come out and clarify, there are multiple ways to ensure that the accountability, the transparency remains intact and in place. Now on this note, I'll be leaving you here with a basic prelims practice question. Let me know the answer to this. This is on CAG, this question. Let me know the answer to this in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.